Hello, I'm Matthew Browning and welcome once again to our coverage of the last of the international events from the Sha Tin racecourse in Hong Kong. The final event tonight is the Hong Kong International Cup over 1,800 metres. Australia's representatives lie with Northern Drake and also Corporate James, and Tycoon Lil represents New Zealand. So we have a very good chance, this part of the world, of picking up the last of the features. Australia was runner-up in the previous with Bazil Bay and Shane Dye and Darazari for New Zealand. Trainer Bruce Wallace finished second in the first race there tonight, or the International Vase was the first for our coverage, was won by Indigenous, the Hong Kong racehorse, and France won the second with Jim and Tonic. Now, the third race, the Hong Kong Cup, let's have a look at the latest TAB odds. And we've got $31 for Artan, number one, representing Germany. Refsa at $11 for David Hayes, now in Hong Kong. Tycoon Lil is at $3.40. We've got Al Mushtarak at 30, Billion Win at 14, Corporate James at 14, Handsome Ridge at $14, Johan Criff at $13 with that pool on about $102,000. Now, Magellan is at $13, Midnight Bet from Japan at $66, Monza is at $138, the other Australian, Northern Drake, at $4.10, Oriental Express at $12, and then we've got Statesmanship at $36, 15, 16 and 17 were all scratchings from the Hong Kong Cup over 1,800 metres. Well, it would be nice if an Australian or Tycoon Lil could win the last of these Hong Kong races for tonight. Brendan Parnell has put together this report on the credentials of the Australian and New Zealand runners.
It's a long way from Kalgoorlie to Sha Tin here in Hong Kong, but that is the case for Corporate James, one of the Australian hopes for the 10th running of the Hong Kong International Cup. It's a Group 2 race over 1,800 metres. One of his toughest opponents, though, could be Northern Drake, a gallant runner-up to might and power in record time in this year's BMW Cox Plate. The other big opponent, and they're all talking about her here, is Tycoon Lil, that bonny Kiwi mare.
Australia has a strong hand in the Cup. Friday's work confirmed that Northern Drake is spot on for the 1,800 metre test. Grant Cooksley will be in the saddle.
Grant, how did Northern Drake work this morning?
Yeah, it worked quite well, you know, sort of run 1,200 3/4 and sort of run up the last 300-400 metres, you know, and he felt good and he did it quite easily.
How well suited do you think he'll be with the style of Hong Kong racing and the opposition?
Well, it's hard to get a line on the opposition, you know, but, you know, he should go well, I think. You know, well, he's proven himself in the sort of best weight for age races, and I think, like, Sha Tin will suit him, and, you know, usually in these races you put a pace on, which is going to suit him too, you know.
Northern Drake beat Cup rival Tycoon Lil home in the BMW Cox Plate, and as he's not yet a Group 1 winner, meets the Kiwi mare better at the weights.
Northern Drake is chasing home hard on the outside after the leader, and Tycoon Melody battling strongly. It's Might and Power the leader. Northern Drake a length and a half away coming home, but Might and Power, the big champ, the king, joins the greats of the turf, and Might and Power's won it from Northern Drake. Third home is...
It's a big turnaround, you know. You know, he carried 5 pound more than her last time in the Cox Plate, so it's actually a 10 pound turnaround, so, you know, he's got a big advantage that way.
Is she the one to beat?
I think they're all pretty hard to beat, you know, sort of it depends on who has the best run and sort of how quick they go.
A fairy tale result would be Corporate James saluting in the Cup, and he settled in well with Max Lees, hoping for a big run.
He lost a lot of weight coming over. He lost about 20 kilos, but he's put nearly all of it back on, and he's nearly about the same weight as when he won the tramway, so he looks really well.
There's a lovely shine coming through on the coat, which is normally indicative of the horse feeling well within himself.
Yeah, his coat looks good, and he's done really well. He's never left a grain since he's been here, really. The first couple of days he did, but last night he cleaned right up, so he's good.
He must be the best travelled horse out of Australia. Kalgoorlie, Flemington, Randwick and now Hong Kong.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be many horses win a maiden in Kalgoorlie and finish up in an invitation race in Hong Kong, I suppose, but no, he's been everywhere.
He's not a flush worker on his own, but he done enough this morning to suggest he's on target, and his weight's nearly back to normal, so I think he's done all right and he'll run well.
There's very few that have travelled more than you, but this horse has definitely travelled a bit more than you.
He started off in Kalgoorlie, he won a maiden in Kalgoorlie, and next minute, you know, he's on the eastern side of Australia, and now he's here in Hong Kong.
So have you got a message for all your mates riding back at Newcastle this weekend and around that region?
Yeah, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone, so just keep your chin up, you might end up over here one day.
Corporate James has a win over Northern Drake to his credit. Another would be a boost to the career of talented hoop Alan Robinson.
Drake starting to extend on the outside. It's Adam in front of Our Lady with Northern Drake and Corporate James. Corporate James and Northern Drake get to Adam at the 100. Corporate James hit the lead. The old boy streaking away near home, and Corporate James wins the tramway. Northern Drake second. Third is Adam.
Northern Drake looks tremendous. He's a lovely horse. The first time I've seen him really, and he looks very good, and he's got Cooksley on him, so he'll run well.
He likes this way of going. He likes this distance. Looks suitable.
Yeah, he's won over this distance, and he's won beyond this, really. He's won at 2300, and he does go better this way, same as Sydney. Like, and when he was in Melbourne, he raced quite well, but he was trying to hang in all the way, and he seems to go better this way of going.
Confidence in Hong Kong about the chances of the Australian and New Zealand horses leading up to the International Cup. The race is about 10 minutes away. The pool has climbed up a little bit since we last looked, so let's have another update of the Hong Kong Cup over 1,800 metres. Now we've got Artan and Michael Canaan at $31. Two rest for Basil Marcus, $11. Tycoon Lil for Shane Dye at $3.40, and Al Mushtarak at $32 with Olivier Peslier. Now Billion Win for Douglas White at $15. Corporate James, Robbo in the saddle at 14, Handsome Ridge at 14 for Frankie Dettori, and Johan Criff at $13. And we're about 8 minutes off start time. They're racing on a good surface at Sha Tin tonight. Magellan is at $14, Midnight Bet at $69, Monza $141, Northern Drake at $4. We've got Oriental Express at $13, and Statesmanship with Cash Asmussen, the jockey, at $37, and the emergencies were all scratched from this upcoming race. So certainly Tycoon Lil and Northern Drake look to have the main hopes in for us, race number 3 at Sha Tin. It's getting towards the end of their Sunday afternoon program in Hong Kong. If you've missed the earlier races today, it's time for a quick recap. Firstly, the Hong Kong Bowl, where Toledo and Basile Bay represented Australia. Basile Bay gave a great hope, but it was the French galloper, Jim Antonic, with jockey Gerald Mosse in the saddle, who claimed victory before a crowd of about 60,000 people in the Hong Kong Bowl.
Out wide a Royal Suzuka with Cahal improving midfield. Rebel next, Special off the pace. Decorated Hero back to third last with Toledo second last, and Dance Parade is at the tail. Basile Bay leads past the half mile, 13-7 and 21-7. Basile Bay with his mouth open in front. He's keen, he leads by 1. Holy Grail second, Aggressive Dragon poised beautifully in 3. Electronic Zone 4, Bumper Storm 5, so the locals are right on the back of the speed. Next, Jim and Tonic, Dance Parade's hooking deep, trying to get around. She's coming 6 and 7 deep with the run. The Japanese representative Royal Suzuka in front of it. Decorated Hero shuffled out the back. 400 to go. Basile Bay let down. He opened up. He had nearly 2 lengths and sprinted away. Jim and Tonic stretching out and making ground. Basile Bay still in front. He's 2 lengths in front. Jim and Tonic, the French representative, has gone to it quickly. At the 100, Jim and Tonic swept to the front. Decorated Hero Cahal trying to run on, but Jim and Tonic sprinted away. Decorated Hero trying to make ground late, but Jim and Tonic by a length. Second is a photo nearly at dead heat. Basile Bay.
Gerald Mosse was the winning jockey. Francois Dumaine was the winning trainer. Jim and Tonic, representing France, paid $13 for a win in New South Wales and $2.90 for a place. Basile Bay with Jim Cassidy on board paid $1.04 for Paul Perry, and number 6 Decorated Hero from Great Britain was third with Olivier Peslier in the saddle, $3.10 for a place. The Quinella was $13.30, trifecta $299. So it was France, Australia and Great Britain 1, 2, 3 in the Hong Kong International Bowl for tonight. We go back to the first race at Group 2 level tonight. It was the Hong Kong International Vase over 2,400 metres. Australia's representative lied with with Star Binder and also Joss Sticks, but New Zealand had Darazari with Shane Dye in the saddle, gave a huge sight. And make sure you pay particular attention to the huge roar that the crowd give the local hero, Indigenous for Hong Kong, who took the Hong Kong Vase.
He doesn't look to be travelling well. Next, Smashing Pumpkin, Tequila Pop. Mazal is last, still nearly 15 to 20 off the lead. Privilege, the old man in front, past the half mile. He's joined by Strategic Choices. They run to the corner. Caetano third on the back of the speed. Darazari fourth and poised beautifully. The pedals to the metal as they stretch the field open at the 600. Nearly 2 lengths to Fruits of Love. Indigenous coming on 3 deep. Joss Sticks off the bit. Ungaro can't go on, and the rest are 4 lengths off, headed by Starbinder. They run the corner, 4.50 to go. Darazari wheels up with Strategic Choice in the middle. Indigenous, the pride of Hong Kong's coming on. on. Josh Dix, Fruits of Love, back in between them. Strategic Choice and Caetano. Darazari went to the front. He had a three-quarter break at the 200. Indigenous digging deep for Douglas White, but it's Darazari for Shane Dye. Now Indigenous digs deep. Hong Kong roars. Indigenous goes to the front. Darazari can't go with him, and they've done it. Indigenous and Nick beats Darazari.
Everyone in the grandstand must have cheered him home. Indigenous for Hong Kong trainer Ivan Allen, $4.80, $2.10, and Douglas White was in the saddle, former South African jockey. Darazari number 5 for Bruce Wallace, Shane Dye in the saddle at $2.30, and Taipan number 3 was back in third spot representing Great Britain with Pat Eatery in the saddle, $1.90 for a place. 17.10 Quinella, trifecta $144.80 on the Hong Kong International Vase. So that's a recap of what's happened so far this afternoon in Hong Kong. At this stage, New Zealand have a second, Australia have a second, and we've got a pretty good lineup coming into the final event, the Hong Kong International Cup. 2 Australians and 1 Kiwi. Artan at 31, Resfer at 9.70, Tycoon Lil is now 3.60, 4.10 Super Tab and 3.55 for punters in Queensland. Now Al Mushtarak is at 33, 15 Billion Win, 15 for Corporate James, 16 Handsome Ridge and $10 for Johan Criff, with about 3 minutes to put bets on. Magellan 14, 81 Midnight Bet, Monza 166, Northern Drake at $4.20, Oriental Express is there at $11 and Statesmanship number 14 at $36. Of the international horses, the ones to watch are Oriental Express, who's trained by top Hong Kong trainer Ivan Allen, has won 5 from 23, is the reigning Hong Kong Horse of the Year, and he was runner-up in this race back in 1997. He was narrowly beaten in a Group 3 at Happy Valley over 1,200 metres on the 11th of November, and then he tried very hard when he ran third in the Group 1 Stewards Cup on the 21st of November. If he is at his best, Oriental Express, he is going to really take some beating, even up against these international horses this afternoon. Another one is Resfer, who's trained by David Hayes in Hong Kong. He's won 4 of his 6 starts with 2 third placings as well. He's a former South African who won a Group 1 Derby over 2,000 metres in February. He got a long way back at his first Hong Kong start over 1,400 metres. That was back on the 17th of October, but apparently he really got to the line very strongly and was doing his best work late when he finished second over 1,800 metres at Sha Tin on the 14th of November. So he can certainly run the trip out, Resfer. Now on track, Artan, number 1, who represents Germany, has been voted the best turned out horse for this upcoming race at Sha Tin. He's a 6-year-old Artan. He won a Group 1 race over 2,000 metres in Italy in May, so he's come a long way. He was beaten on a rain-affected track. Has been beaten on rain-affected tracks at his past few runs, in fact, in Hamburg and also in Munich, and he would have to be a very good each-way hope. As I said, they've voted him the top turned-out horse, Artan, with Michael Canaan in the saddle. So let's go to our international coverage now. Australia's Brendan Parnell is talking on trackside in Hong Kong. With the punters in Hong Kong, though, has he at $99 to 1?
No, I suppose there's no great surprise because they tend to favour, trainers or jockeys that they've heard of before. Artan Mick Canaan, despite the Canaan factor, he's still 26 to 1, the German representative. Looking at a couple of the other international challengers, Al Mushtarak 25 to 1, Olivier Pellier, but still they can't shorten that up. Handsome Ridge, John Gosden, Frankie Dettori, Handsome Ridge a 40 to 1 chance, but that's dictated by the fact the press have been very vocal in their coverage of his bout of colic, which nearly led to his withdrawal. Magellan, good money for him at 6.3. Well-backed Gary Stevens taking them out for Ben Cecil. There's Tycoon Lil. She is getting very, very warm. And just looking at a couple of the others that will interest viewers internationally, Northern Drake, as we mentioned, attracting support now down to $100 and 25 to 1 for Statesmanship. So the market suggests at least that Magellan could be the one that we should be bearing in mind as not an outsider, but a horse worthy of respect on form. And I suppose his fourth, when he got held up on the turn in the Breeders' Cup Mile behind Dahos and Hawksley Hill, warrants respect.
Excellent form when you consider some of these, like Resfer has that £5 penalty. You'd think this would be an easier race in the Breeders' Cup Mile for Magellan at 6.3 to 1 or 11 to 1 or 10 to 1 now for Northern Drake, which has been well spec'd. The
only problem with his form is that by and large Magellan's form has been in small fields, which might not suit him actually, because the way he ran in the Breeders' Cup, he looks as if he wanted a solid tempo. Tycoon Lil we expect to go to the front. Resfer will be back, Magellan will be back, Al Mushtarak will be back. I think it's a question of how much goes forward, because that will determine how far back they're able to come from. Final selection, Brendan?
I thought Resfer looked fantastic in the yard. I'll go Northern Drake, the value for the Australian punters at around that 10 to 1 mark, ahead of Resfer, and Johan Cruyff for third.
OK, another international finish, and describing it will be David Raphael.
And runners are moving up well as Statesmanship comes in towards his position. He's drawn in barrier number 4. They left the front of the gate open for him. Ridden by Cash Asmussen. Cash has ridden in 2 international cups. He's won both of them. Red Bishop and Val's Prince last year. Handsome Ridge stands up well, drawn in barrier number 2, but unfortunately for Connections, he's had problems this week. Oriental Express went so close here last year. An international globetrotter, which is rare in Hong Kong. As Billing and Win comes in. Billing and Win, one of the toughest horses you'll ever see. Johan Cruyff got past him in the Stewards' Cup, but he ran back to beat him in a 4-way thrilling finish. Johan Cruyff, the Derby winner, coming forward. Oriental Express winning the Derby the previous year and placing second in this, and they're all in, ready to go. Gates are back and they're racing. Midnight Bet jumped okay. Tycoon Lil has begun quite well at Artan. Nearer the outside, has ambled out of the gates with the pace, and Oriental Express is away very quickly. No great speed here as Tycoon Lil and Billy and Win on the outside are working across slowly to lead Oriental Express, and Artan eases back in 4. Johan Cruyff is caught deeper and he's sneaking forward with little pace. He's got up to 5, but he's 3 deep. Statesmanship right on the back of the speed, followed by Rest for midfield. Next then came Al Mushtarak, and Midnight Bet, the Japanese runner, in the middle in the bright yellow colours. He's 3 deep. Al Mushtarak in the white behind him. Monza drifts back with also getting back in the field Magellan, Northern Drake, Corporate James, and at the tail end is Handsome Ridge. They've gone past the 1100 pole. Tycoon Lil crossed to the front. Artan second, Billing and Win third. Johan Cruyff in 4, Oriental Express 5, and Midnight Bet outside them 6. Al Mushtarak travels in 7, Statesmanship 8 on the rail, and Rest for outside him. Next Monza, Northern Drake, Magellan outside it. Corporate James second last, and at the tail pushed along Handsome Ridge. 800 to go. Tycoon Lil's look to have a good run in front. It leads 3/4. In second placing Artan. Midnight Bet creeps to third. Billing and Win on the back of the speed. Johan Cruyff right there with Oriental Express. Next Al Mushtarak. Monza 8 lengths off the lead. Restless between runners. Back to the inside is Statesmanship. He looks to handle this way okay, but he's a long way back. Corporate James next. They run for the money. 450 out. Artan for Canaan on the outside, but Midnight Bet, the Japanese runner, rushes up. Johan Cruyff follows them. Oriental Express, Billing and Win going back to the inside. Tycoon Lil couldn't go on. Midnight Bet went to the front for Hiroshi Kawachi. At the 200, the Japanese runner in front. Johan Cruyff trying to run him down, but Midnight Bet, the 4-year-old, stretched. Johan Cruyff's coming a length off him. Midnight Bet stopping. Johan Cruyff closing, but he can't get the Japanese, and Midnight Bet win it again for Japan. Midnight Bet from Johan Cruyff, third of Fado. Magellan with Al Mushtarak. Rest for further back. Next then Monza, Northern Drake, Corporate James, followed by Statesmanship, Oriental Express, Billy and Win. They came, but they couldn't close the deal. Tycoon Lil next in, followed by Handsome Ridge, and last of all is Artan. The Japanese have done it again. Fujiyama Kenzan came to this race in 95 and blew them away, running a course record of 147 flat. But it wasn't the same run start here, obviously, with Midnight Bet landing in a midfield position reasonably close to the pace. In fact, from gate 9, he was able to amble across to be close to the speed. He showed great turn of foot at the top of the straight to dash a break, and the Japanese have won the Cup again. And once again, the locals have run second in the International Cup, the second year running, and the Derby winner has done it again, the Quinella Spot. Last year it was Oriental Express just photoed, and this year Johan Cruyff won the Derby and has come back to run second in the International Cup. Number 4, Al Mushtarak, has run third for Paddy Air, running a great race, saved up late, which is his run start, and closed on third. And fourth in number 9, Magellan, who's run a very good race also. The time obviously will not be the record that the former Japanese horse had provided. The margin here is 3/4 by 1 3/4, and in fact, what about the time? That's a surprise. It's come up 1:46.9. Tycoon Lil pressing to the front. They seem to just amble out of the gates the opening 400. They must have run devastating time over the final 400 metres, because the Japanese representative has run the fastest 1800 metres ever at Sha Tin Racecourse, breaking Fujiyama Kenzan's record in 95. Well, Hiroshi Kawachi, one of the leading Japanese riders, and we're going to see if we can grab a word off Hiroshi as he comes back. And Midnight Bet, that was simply a brilliant win, Hiroshi. A very good performance as he marches back here, and obviously the international winner, Midnight Bet for Japan. This horse prepared by Hiroyuki Nagahama. Hiroshi Kawachi is a 43-year-old jockey. He's well known throughout the world. as being the winner of the Legacy of the Japan Cup with Legacy World. Now we're going to try and see if we can get a word in here with Hiroshi. Hiroshi, that was a brilliant win on this horse.
Yeah, how to feel that this horse? Oh, thank you.
A really good moment. How confident were you coming to Hong Kong? Did you think this horse could win this race?
Good risk.
Obviously, this horse is coming back a good performance. He's been parked on the speed. He had turn of foot at the top of the straight. The locals have come so well down the straight with Johan Cruyff closing on late. And Johan Cruyff has just failed to run down Midnight Bet. And incredibly, a new course record. It's a 1:46.9. The margin 3/4 by 1 3/4, with number 4 Al Mushtarak for Padilla running in third, and McGowan running a good race for Stevens running in 4. Stevens once again in the frame. Well, the winner returns, and the crowd very vocal here, and why shouldn't they be? They would know of this man, Hiroshi Kawachi, and those people that follow racing throughout the world would know of him also. He won the 93 Japan Cup on Legacy World. Yukabe Okabe is the most winning jockey in Japan, and Hiroshi Kawachi is positioned second behind him. He's a 43-year-old brilliant rider on his day. He's so well respected throughout Japan. He's made trips around the world in the past, and he stepped to Hong Kong today to take the biggest prize of them all on offer, the Hong Kong International Cup, and in doing so has lowered the name of Fujiyama Kenzan as the fastest horse ever on this course over the 9-furlong distance. His return is a big one. 40-1 plus, 430.50 at $89 the winner. The runner-up Johan Cruyff, keen in the betting, has returned just over even money for the place at $20.50, and number 4 Al Mushtarak for Padilla at $80.50. The winner parades as he returns, and it's 10-8-4. Japan winning the Hong Kong International Cup with Midnight Bet.
Well, my word.
Yes, it was expected it was going to be a bit tough for him, even amongst the locals in Hong Kong today. Midnight Bet. He was a Japanese Group 2 winner, 4 starts back over 2,200 metres, but his form had really tapered off since that. He was well beaten at Kyoto in Japan last start, and it was expected that he was going to find this a lot tougher. However, he's defied them and come through at big odds. Midnight Bet, number 10, a 4-year-old stallion, $67.70 for a win and $21.10 for a place. 8 Johan Cruyff at $2.50, and Al Mushtarak, number 4, representing Great Britain. They've had a good day there, the English horses, $11.10. The Quinella was $238, and the trifecta was $8,163. So some pretty big dividends there on the final event at Sha Tin, with the Australian and New Zealand horses finishing out of a place. You may have thought that Tycoon Lil covered quite a bit of extra territory in the early part of that race. That's not necessarily the case. In the first 200 metres of all races in Hong Kong, jockeys must abide by the rules and keep a straight line for the first 200. They're not allowed to come across to the inside running rail until after the first furlong. So that's why Tycoon Lil was posted out a little bit wide in the early part. Well, quite a few of them were. Looked a bit funny, but that's the way they do it in Hong Kong, where local time is coming up to 4:45. I think they might have one more race on the Hong Kong program, which is not a part of the international series. 60,000 people were there this afternoon, and the first race went the way of Hong Kong with Indigenous, the second race going the way of France with Jim Antonic, and the final event going to Japan in track record time to Midnight Bet. And for horses for this part of the world, they didn't perform all that badly. Darazari ran a great second, fought on very strongly in the International Vase, the first race, but was collared on the line. And Basile Bay got out and went to the front, as he normally does, and he was ran down in the finish by the French horse Jim Antonic. But still, he showed quite a bit of fight to be beaten by about 3/4 of a length, and as you've just seen. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to pick up an international event from Hong Kong this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the 3 international events from Hong Kong, the Cup, the Bowl and the Vase, all over for another year. That's it for our coverage this afternoon. On behalf of our racing crew here at Sky Racing, I'm Matthew Browning. Thanks for being with us. Good night. $3.